Hi guys, you made a good decision to be with us this afternoon. Quality, not quantity. That's what this team is all about. Although we're a bit nervous about our gender representation up here, but we're great to see that that's more than balanced, especially with this beautiful table. Is that politically correct? I don't know. This beautiful table that we have here. No, seriously, we're going to have an interesting discussion. And as we were thinking about what would be a subject which would resonate and have interest, and actually be perhaps taking the conversation forward a little bit more. We were all very much aware that, quite rightly, there are very important discussions and conversations about business collaboration with NGOs and civil society and with governments, and often getting those three together. But perhaps there seems to be less conversation about how businesses actually collaborate with other businesses in different ways. And why is that? It's because it's obvious, so we don't need to sort of understand it and research it and think about it. Are there new drivers at work which are suggesting there being new forms of collaboration between business and business, which perhaps goes beyond a traditional business-to-business commercial relationship? So that's the sort of running theme we're going to explore today, and we're going to do that by hearing from 5 very talented entrepreneurial leaders in their own right, working actually in quite different circumstances on different issues, but of course with some common challenges as well. We're not going to have a bit of any particular revolution in terms of the way we do this. We're going to have some storytelling, because storytelling's really important. Sir, hiding in the corner over there. How did you manage to get the chair over there?
I'm one of those media types too. My name's Scott Anderson. I run a website called nextbillion.net, which is focused on BOP and business opportunities for fighting poverty.
Very important work. Thank you very much. It's great. We've done 50%. Let's keep going.
Hi, my name is Ignacio Álvaro. I'm a research fellow at the Business and Government Center at the Harvard Kennedy School, and before that I was working for 15 years in international development with the Spanish government.
I'm Jessica Alderman. I'm the Director of Communications with EnviroFit International, and we're the leaders in clean energy cook stoves, and we manufacture, distribute, and sell clean cook stoves in about 40 countries all over the world. So.
Excellent, thank you.
Sarah Enright, I'm with the Business Call to Action, responsible for corporate outreach. I actually placed you guys on this panel, so if you're wondering what you're doing up there, you can ask me.
So you're responsible for the gender imbalance.
Yeah.
My name is Jessica Ernst. I'm a consultant with the Millennium Challenge Corporation. It's a U.S. government development agency, and I'm focused on PPPs and the nutrition program in Indonesia.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lizzie. I am the outreach consultant for Business Call to Action based in Nairobi, Kenya.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Will Kennedy. I'm with the UN Office for Partnerships. Been dancing in this partnership space at the UN in New York for 15 years and big fan of BCtA.
Great, thanks, Will.
Hi, I'm Albert. I'm the health sector lead for Business Call to Action, and I work with all the health-related companies.
Great, thank you. And in the cheap seats at the back.
My name is Hope Traficante. I wear many hats, but today I'm the reporting consultant working for UNDP, and I'm trying to note down the conversations and
Okay, so report. No pressure to say something worth noting down then, right?
Good afternoon. My name is Cecilia Mora, and I come from Costa Rica. I represent AED, which is an association of private association that holds 300 companies in my country.
Very good, and, very important. Well, lovely to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, what a rich mix we have. And now we're going to hear...
One more.
Oh, I beg your pardon, sir.
Yeah, my name is Raman, and I represent BSF, a multinational company.
Thank you for choosing our session.
We have one final.
My name is Komal Bazaz Smith. I come from Results for Development, and we do a lot of work with programs like yourselves, businesses, we do collaborative learning, we also do partnerships, so we also try to scale up and replicate your programs. So I'm really glad to hear all about it.
Excellent. Welcome to you all. Sunny, are you ready to share your story, sir?
Sure.
Would you like to go up and please begin? Oh, by the way, I'm going to be doing a clock watching, so if I start coughing and spluttering, then that's a hint.
To get him water. That's what the hint is. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to talk about our adventures and what we're doing. My background is in technology. I've been lucky enough to start a couple of ventures that went public on the NASDAQ, and about 8 or 9 years ago, we started this current company. And it really brings together a personal passion with a business opportunity. And the personal passion relates to education. I'd moved from India at a relatively young age and still kept in touch through visits to India with friends in that environment. And when I look back and I see where I ended up in life and where they ended up in life, the only difference is the quality of education that we received. To me, there's nothing else that I can point to. India is a unique place where there's been a level of complacency over the past many years, at least at a political level, with the belief that having a young demographic is all that India needs to succeed in the future. Except about 8, 9 months ago, The Economist ran a front-page story, called it The Angry Young Indian, and said that if you don't educate and create the skill sets and they can't bring true value to the economy, then having a young demographic is a ticking time bomb. It's not an advantage. I saw a study some time back that talked about what the real dropout rates in India are. And you'll never see these numbers this high because governments don't put out numbers this high. But they looked at the dropout rates and extrapolated that and showed that there's potentially, while there are 220 million kids in schools in India, potentially the number should be as high as 360 million. There's potentially as many as 140 million kids that are not in school. But it's not just that. The quality of education varies very significantly. If you're familiar with the hole-in-the-wall experiments, Sugata Mitra, and if you're not familiar with it, on YouTube, it's worth watching his TED Talks, did these experiments, and one of the things he did was that he took some math tests and he did them in New Delhi and got scores around the 60s. And then when he went away from a large metropolitan city, the further he went out, the lower the scores. And what he showed was that the quality of education is directly proportional to how close you are to these big cities. Best quality teachers migrate to the big cities. They're not in the most rural places in that environment. So we believe that computers and internet access can have a significant impact on that. And really, to create broad adoption of computers and internet access, we wanted to create very, very affordable devices. And we wanted to figure out what the right price point is. And what we saw was that in the US, the moment it got to about a week of salary, computers saw broad adoption. And we were trying to figure out what that number is in India. And in India, a week of salary for our target customers, sort of the bottom billion people, is about $35. So we created very, very low-cost tablet computers in that $35 price point that today run a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, the same level of processing power and memory as the second and third generation iPads. So very, very low-cost devices that really bring a significant amount of functionality. But what we discovered was that it's not just hardware and the cost of hardware, it is access. India has 450,000 mobile towers, out of which only 80,000 deliver 3G connectivity. So more than 80% of the mobile networks cannot deliver a real web experience. The average page would take you 3 to 5 minutes on those 2G networks, on the congested 2G networks in India. So we created a technology on which we've received now 18 US patents that reduces the size of the page by a factor of 30. So if you think of the CNN page, which is about 1.5 meg, we reduce it to about 30 or 40 kilobytes in size. So instead of taking 2 to 3 minutes, now it takes 3 to 5 seconds. But the cost of data goes down so significantly that what we found is that we can offset it through value-added services, through advertising, through other things, to deliver free mobile internet. So 80% of the Indian environment where you can't deliver internet because of the kind of networks that exist, now you can deliver internet on those existing networks without an upgrade to those networks, and you can deliver it potentially for free to the consumer and earn more from other value-added services. And since this panel is about business-to-business partnerships, for this kind of a structure to be implemented, it is the relationship with the wireless operators that becomes key. It is their willingness to structure opportunities in the manner that we do. And what we convince them of is that today, out of 1.2 billion people in India, they're only focused on the top 200 million in selling data services. And now we enable the next billion that they don't know how to serve without making significant infrastructure expenditures and without potentially providing services at a loss. So this allows them to deliver free access at much better profit levels than they do otherwise. We've been lucky enough that evangelizing this with governments around the world, we've now got a number of different governments. The first one that we worked with was the government of India, who've just decided that they need broad adoption of computing internet access to impact education. Governments have changed in India recently, so the name of the project will change, but the idea and the concepts are not changing. So we are focused on helping to bridge the digital divide, because focusing that on education we think helps eliminate illiteracy. Less than 2 years ago, we were a struggling foreign company trying to figure out how to maneuver our way through India. But because of where we are positioned, we've gotten such a huge response that we've become one of the largest tablet makers in India. Quarter-to-quarter studies showed that we're neck and neck with Samsung. Now, we don't get Samsung's customers. Their customer is very different than our customer, but our volumes in some quarters exceed theirs, and some quarters they exceed ours. The demand has been so significant that to raise additional capital, we had to do an IPO on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and now we're a listed company with a war chest to go make this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And as David takes his place ready, I was going to ask you one or two follow-up questions.
Sure.
I mean, colleagues in the room, I'm sure will be, I mean, it's a wonderful story.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that there were many hurdles and challenges which you went through, which aren't connected to the grey in your beard at all. I'm sure.
Let me tell you, for those of me, Will that saw me 2 years ago, the first time, and Albert, the first time we met, it's been a year, 2 years, it was pitch black. This was a black beard. Okay.
So it's not a straight, easy journey. So yeah. What was choose one of those hurdles and describe to us how you overcame that hurdle. That's one question. And the second one is really in terms of if you had a magic wand and you were able to say, if only I had X, if only, would it be a policy issue? Would it be access to capital? What's the thing which would help you have even more impact?
So two questions that require very long answers. Sorry about that.
Stay there.
Get some rest.
It's all falling apart.
There are many difficulties in this journey. We're disrupting businesses that can create lineups outside of their stores just because they introduced a new color of their device.
Yep.
They don't react well to that. So we've been called anything and everything you can imagine. That it's fake, it's a vaporware, it's a fraud, it doesn't exist, and so on. And 1 million units later, I assure you, we exist and there are consumers that actually want our products. Dealing with governments is never easy. They're not only long cycles, they're fickle and they're influenced by many others. We had issues at the early stages with the Indian government where they decided that our projects needed to be rejected because of quality issues. And the quality issues they decided were that they don't sustain 4 inches an hour of rain for 4 days, and on impact at 20 G force, they don't survive, and things of that nature. And our position was, well, that wasn't part of the contract, and you know, that doesn't make sense. But what we found was that when we persevered and there was consumer demand and we weren't limited to just government sales, it was very difficult for them to say that the product doesn't work.
That's interesting. So you had, because some organizations might choose one market segment straight away and actually say it's too complicated, but for you it was actually helpful to approach both at the same time.
Both sides.
Okay,
so
great, that's great. And then the magic wand?
So there are many. You know, I've got a 48-page list, but I'll give you 2. The biggest issue in working in the developing world is logistics. Getting product in and out. I donate devices to an orphanage in Uganda, and they sit in customs for 8 months until somebody is willing to come and bribe customs. I mean, it is. I always wonder why those blockages exist. So that's one.
Thank you.
And I'll give you the second one, which is important, especially because there are a couple of wireless operators on the panel. The operators traditionally have been measured by the average revenue per user. And while that works at the top end, the top 3, 5, 10, 15% of the market, when you get down to the bottom 50% and the bottom 70% of the market, whose monthly incomes in India, for example, are $200 a month, a $20 a month data plan will never sell in that environment. So when we come in and say, hey, by the way, we've got a solution, but all we're going to do is buy 20 cents worth of data from you per subscriber per month, even though I can show that 20 cents to be more profitable than the $20 version,
it's a scary proposition.
It is a scary proposition.
So Matt and Eduardo, when we're interested in how we can get over this idea of sort of economic value in thinking of economic value in different ways to the business. Is that fair?
I think so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So.
Great. Great. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Auerbach. I'm one of the co-founders of Sanergy, based in Nairobi, Kenya, where I live for the last 3.5 years. And it's just on behalf of our 173 teammates. It's a real privilege to be here today. So what I thought I would do is just actually, in my time standing, just tell you what we do, because people generally have a lot of questions about that, and then we can get to the business-to-business partnerships that we have, which there are a lot of too. So at Sanergy, we work to make hygienic sanitation accessible and affordable in Africa's informal settlements, urban slums. Right now, 2.5 billion people in the developing world lack access to a good toilet. If you factor in where the waste goes, it's about 4.1 billion people. In Africa's informal settlements, it's about 400 million people. And where I work, in Kenya's slums, 8 million people lack access to a good toilet. Right now, there are 3 untenable options which people resort to. One is larger public toilets, which, while they might provide a hygienic option, are both expensive and require a lot of donor support to be set up. And because they take up a lot of space, they're put where there is that space, and slums are very built up. And so they end up being put in by the side of the road, which at night presents a huge risk of sexual assault and rape, particularly for women and children. Second, people resort to pit latrines. So really no more than this sort of shabby plastic or metal exterior, which offers some privacy, and then underneath it's a 10-foot hole where the waste just leaches into the soil and waterways. So, and people are paying to use these facilities in informal settlements in Kenya. And then third, flying toilets. Kenyan friend recognizes. But this is using a plastic bag in the privacy of your own home and then taking it to a public area when nobody is looking. While this is a stark image, and I apologize for that, I think it's important that, here we are in New York City, and it's important to actually see that these are the challenges that we're facing. Obviously, this is not dignified and it's not hygienic. But it's also a question, where does the waste go? And in Kenya slums, 4 million tons of waste every single year are being dumped into rivers and waterways. It's being collected by people that are called frogmen that literally jump into facilities to manually empty these pit latrines and then dump it into public areas, causing a huge public health and environmental risk. So what we're doing at Sanergy is taking a systems-based approach to solving this challenge, and we do this in 3 steps: build, collect, convert. So first, we build a dense network of low-cost, high-quality sanitation facilities called Fresh Life. We franchise them to entrepreneurs living in the communities who run them as small businesses. We provide business support, marketing, training, business analytics, which I'll get into. And then we also provide a regular waste collection service so that we can safely remove the waste from the community. We aggregate it so we have significant volumes of it, convert it into useful byproducts such as organic fertilizer and renewable energy. We're then able to sell that on to Kenyan farms, which ultimately drives the profitability or sustainability of our model. Much prettier pictures. So this here is the Fresh Life toilet. It's a bright blue, bold facility. It's got a sun on it. It has a translucent roof. It's changing people's experience around sanitation. Mary, one of our operators, she greets you. She provides you with toilet paper. It's a very enjoyable experience. We provide business support. So if you build it, they will not necessarily come. And so what we do is actually provide all the tools that people need. So we have signs, we have hand washing stations, we have cleaning kits, we have uniforms. We provide training to ensure that the entrepreneur is able to start from day one successfully. And then we provide the safe and easy waste collection. So this is Joseph here. You can see he's got a uniform, he has gloves, he has masks, he has boots. What you can't see is that he's inoculated, he gets health insurance. So taking an informal job and turning it into a part of the formal sector. He can safely remove the waste from the community. And then we provide access to finance for our entrepreneurs so that they can actually join this network. Each toilet costs about $600 to the entrepreneur as our price tag, but that includes all of the services, including the waste collection. But we partnered with Kiva, the online micro-lending platform, so that we could provide a really flexible, quick loan to the entrepreneurs so that they're able to get these businesses off the ground within a matter of weeks. And it works very well for the entrepreneur. So they charge a nominal usage fee, so about 6 cents per use, 5 Kenyan shillings. And with just 50 users per day, they're making about $3 in revenue, which over the course of the year is about $1,000 in profit. And most of our entrepreneurs own 2 facilities, so they're making $2,000 in a country whose GDP per capita is approximately $820 per year. This is where we are to date. We work in the southeast corner of Nairobi, an area of about 500,000 people, no bigger than 5 kilometers squared. So it's a very, very dense network. And in the last 2.5 years, well, actually in the last week, we crossed over the 500 barrier. So we have 500 facilities up and running through a network of about 250 entrepreneurs. They're serving over 18,000 users every single day with access to hygienic sanitation. And in the process, we've created a lot of good formal jobs. We have 250 entrepreneurs. They've hired 130 people. We have 170 people on staff. And so it's become, in an area with 40% unemployment, a huge job creator. And we now collect and safely remove over 6.5 tons of waste every single day from the community. This is the waste that was previously being dumped into those rivers and waterways. And this is what we're doing with it. We're now built a large enough infrastructure where we can process this at scale. And so we've invested in technology that enables us to produce a nutrient-rich organic fertilizer that's pathogen-free in just 24 hours. You can see some of it here. And we market it under the brand called Evergrow in Kenya. And we're selling it to Kenyan farms and it's leading to 20 to 30% increase in yields depending on the crop. We're able to sell this competitively because organic fertilizer is very new to the market, but it's something that farmers and the Ministry of Agriculture is very keen to be pushing, to be using. But because there's never been domestic production of it at scale, it's always been hard to sell it at a reasonable price for the farmers. So that's where we are. This is me, David at Energy, and happy to take questions from Adrian and others. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks very much, David. So as Marcio gets himself ready, I'll ask one or two follow-up. You can take a risk or not. I'll ask you one or two questions, David. So what's your biggest growth challenge? Is it people skills, capabilities? Is it access to sites? Is it what's the barrier?
Yeah. So we have a few challenges. It's not as simple as that, obviously. I think so. The two, and they go sort of hand in hand. One is land, and one is working with government. And so land is a challenge because these communities are very built up. So where do you put the facilities? So even though our toilets are only 1 meter by 1.5 meters, we still have not We still have not been able to access enough land to truly provide enough toilets for the community that we serve. And so that's forced us to come up with different service delivery models. And so one thing that we're starting to do is work with landlords who own plots, so 10 to 15 households.
Okay.
And so that's like, so that's a whole.
So that's our part of our business to business.
Well,
right?
it is. Essentially, it's how do you actually make landlords more more interested in providing sanitation through an economic incentive.
Is that because they can then charge more for the rent?
So we found that they can increase rent by 25% and tenants don't leave. And so so it's a very and the reason they don't leave is because now they have hygienic sanitation close to where they're living. They don't have to worry about where their kids go or anything like that. And we're trying to work out what exactly is the right value for that.
And you mentioned Kiva, the microfinance network, and I should, but I don't know if it's owned by. Is that owned by a commercial bank or is it a completely?
No, Kiva's a non-profit.
So why do you go to them rather than? Why isn't there a traditional bank here?
Yeah, it's been an interesting challenge for us. So when we started, we worked with we would talk with microfinance banks, the larger ones, and they'd be at the top. They were so excited, like this is great. It's a sustainable business. This is something that. Even if just for PR purposes, it's great. But then when you got down to working with the loan officer, who is ultimately judged based on whether the loans are repaid or not, a working capital loan for like a very simple grocery store versus an innovative new sanitation business, it was a no-brainer for them. You put that emphasis on.
So the incentive structure internally hadn't kept up with the rhetoric that the leadership were essentially.
Right, lots of larger MFIs also have a lot more hoops that people need to jump through. It would often take entrepreneurs as long as 6 months to gain the loan.
Right.
And and at the time we were a scrappy young organization that we couldn't be waiting for 6 months.
So it'd be fascinating to see as you get critical mass whether someone sees, actually now there's a business opportunity there to come in. Let's come back to that, if that's all right. Thank you very much. Marcio, would you like to give us a PagPop story, please?
Hello everybody, my name is Marcio Campos. I am the founder and CEO of PagPop from Brazil. We are a mobile payments company, but first of all I want to say to you that we are proud, me and my team, to be here, to be invited by the BCtA and to be included as a member of this important meeting. And we know that our job in Brazil is real promoting financial inclusion, and that's what I should say to you, what we are doing there. PagPop, it's a company that it's allowing any person who sells a product or a services to sell their goods using their own feature phones, landlines, using our hardware's swipe device or chip and pin solutions to sell their products anytime, anywhere. In fact, we are a Square-like company, but our focus is in the long tail. We are allowing micro merchants to use their own device. And this makes all difference because Brazil, it's getting more traction using smartphones, and it's happening so fast. But we still are thinking about the long tail. We are still thinking about people that are not only in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. We are thinking about people that are in cities nearby Manaus, in Acre, cities so far away that they need the same features. They need technology, and we are improving their lives, giving to them our solutions. In fact, we broke a great barrier in Brazil because we have the payments in Brazil are so developed. We have big companies like Cielo and big banks working on that, but they are looking only for traditional space. And we are looking for including independent workers, health liberal professionals, self-employed, people like, if you come here in New York, every cab driver can accept credit and debit cards. If you go to Brazil, it's not real. They still only accept cash and checks. And this is the problem about 20 million micro entrepreneurs in Brazil. Those people that has the same problem, and that's the problem we are solving. They are still accepting only cash and checks for their sales. And when they accept only cash, they cannot give installments for their end customers. And installments are incredibly important for any micro merchant or merchant in Brazil. You can buy anything in installments until 12 installments. You can buy a computer, you can buy a chair, anything you want. But if the micro merchant only accepts cash, he cannot give installments for their end customers. And when they accept only check, they get a very high rate of default. The solution is accepting credit and debit cards. But it was in Brazil so expensive and bureaucratic. And that was we broke down. To accept PagPop, to be a client of PagPop, you just must go to our homepage, fill a profile, and in 3 minutes, you can start accepting credit cards. You can use through apps, iOS or Android, or you can just give a call for our voice response system, and we can allow the transaction. So on this way, we are including all those people. And we have another bigger difference on our business comparing to Square, that in the end of the day, we are a financial service company. Because of these installments, we can anticipate the receivables of all micro merchants. So they can, instead of receive all the payments through their months, they can have all the money in 6 days. So it promotes working capital for them. And you know that in Brazil, we have the spreads in the bank are not so fair with those guys. So that's what we are doing. Our commitment with BCtA is to have 300,000 clients on our base. And we are happy to say that for this year, for 2014, we were supposed to have 90,000 at the end of the year. We already have 110,000 clients on our base. And now we are getting and looking for grow fast. The payment space in Brazil, it's so hot. We have some competitors that start doing almost the same business, but they are looking for bank accounts. We have banks like Santander that launched solutions like us, but they are not looking for the long tail. But anyway, we got traction on the market, and mobile payments in Brazil, it's something real. It's not about a startup, it's about something that people are already using. And you can see that our volume of transaction, it's growing fast. That's the money that we are capturing in the market in credit and debit cards. And we are paying back for our micro merchants. On this way, we are promoting more working capital. And of course, on our business, we have a good business model. And our company just broke even 2 months ago. That's why we have new goals for 2017. We were looking with BCtA for 300 but now with a new fundraising, we are going to focus in 500,000 clients on our base, and we know that it's possible, and it maybe we are going to have a volume of transaction about almost $700 million in transactions until 2017. And we believe that it's possible, and that's why we are going to do, we are developing our Series B. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Marcio. And a couple of quick, you won't be surprised, questions from me. With the opportunity comes responsibility, right? So you're helping make credit more widely available, and I know in Brazil, like some other markets where the credit market has opened up, there's actually, is there the level of knowledge of how to manage finances amongst the target market you're reaching to be able to say that it's a responsible approach to the business you're taking? How are you handling sort of the educational aspect of finance?
The point is that we don't have risk on this credit. When we capture the transaction, the bank is allowing this transaction, and all the liability shift comes to the banks. So I can anticipate all the receivables for the micro merchant, and we don't have risk. So it's about getting in working capital. So at this point, we don't need to teach them about this loan, because it's not a loan. It's just the anticipation of their receivables. But that's something important in Brazil about regulation. We just have had in Brazil last year, and it's starting right now, a new regulation about mobile payments. And sometimes people ask me if I am afraid about that. And the answer is no, we are happy about that. Because we are in a startup, and sometimes people say to us, you are just having money inside your company and giving in anticipation, and how this works. And the central bank now is helping us, and even promoting the channels like telecoms, that we can launch our features and be our regulation through the central banks.
And you're clearly a business-to-business model. I mean, you're essentially a business to micro businesses. Yes. Have you relationships with any larger companies who perhaps have then those relationships with those smaller companies as suppliers? Is that something you're exploring or not?
Yes, we have three ways to do that. Yep. Of course, we do online features to get clients. Yep. But partnerships with companies like Natura, that has cosmetic resellers, Mary Kay. We have more than 8,000 women that are from this company, Mary Kay. Okay. We have companies like apps for cab drivers, like Safer Taxi and Easy Taxi, that we do and develop these partnerships because in the end of the day we have the same client.
And it's excellent because that's a multiplier effect for you, so the cost is presumably marginal. The one,
yes, it's important to take care of the brands, PagPop and the other brands. Every time we develop a partnership, I'm so worried about this kind of thing. That respect the partner and launch the right solution. But it works on our space.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Matt, would you please? Sure. Patiently, our telecommunications friends at the end of have been very patient, but now we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank BCtA for giving us this opportunity. Let's switch the slides.
The presentation is wrong.
No one's told Matt that he's now working for Telefonica.
A good option, though. But still,
or is this a new partnership which hasn't been announced to the world? Don't worry, we'll just hold on for a few moments.
You've got media sitting there.
We have got media. And this is a coup for you, right? Media coup, a new. There we go.
Let me talk a little bit about. This is Matt Bashar, by the way, the Chief Marketing Officer of TTNet. Let me talk a little bit about my company and what it does. TTNet is an internet service provider of a group of Türk Telecom. Türk Telecom is a 10 billion market cap company. It's the most valuable brand since 2008 in Turkey, and also an annual revenue of 6.5 billion US dollars. TTNet has 6.3 million customers in Turkey, and as a group we are reaching to 10 million households already. And TTNet has not only the access, but also the IPTV business, music business, gaming business, and as well as education. And TTNet is leader in all these fields in Turkey. So I want to talk about our initiative and what we did and how it worked. We asked a few questions to ourselves, simply because in Turkey there are 20 million households, but the internet penetration is less than 10 million. So we asked ourselves, how can we improve this? How can we fix this digital divide? And the first thing, as marketeers, we asked to the customers. We asked them, why don't you use internet? Why don't you buy this product? And the first thing was, it was like 45% of our customers said, internet is expensive, or it doesn't worth. That's as long as you keep the profitability part, that's the easy part. You drop your prices, and we did that. We did that for the developing cities, developing part of Turkey. But the other reason was more important. They said internet is not a necessity or a priority for the 30% of the population. So we realized that we need to create more reasons for these households to use internet and buy internet. That's where we decided to come together with Sebit. Sebit is a company which has been working for more than 25 years in the education sector. It's a sister company of TTNet. So we came together with them to create a reason, an important reason for the households to buy internet. Turkey, just like many countries all around the world, the children are very important, especially their future. When you ask the parents, they are working for their children, and that's the reason, the only reason why they work. And unlike many countries in Europe, or maybe in US, when the children is even 25 years old or 33 years old, if they are not married, they are staying with their parents. So when they are married, they leave the house after they are married. So a very close relationship with the children. And when it comes to the education part, we have launched a partnership with Sebit. Let me talk a little bit about Vitamin. Vitamin was the added value proposition. It has game-based activities. It has online tests and exams, visual animations, and interactive experience, which makes children to learn far more easier and very quickly if they have internet access, of course. So together coming with Sebit, we have launched special internet packages for these regions and bringing Vitamin together. But there were other obstacles like internet literacy. Simply because people did not know how to use internet. So we have launched another important initiative. We have visited 20 cities all around Turkey. There were many people, students, especially university students, helping us. There were also famous people like celebrities who attended us to make more people know about this initiative. And up to now we have educated 5,000 people, and more to come, like we are aiming 30K in 3 years to be educated. We mostly targeted women, because we know that when you target women, They pass this information to their children, they pass this information to the neighborhood, so you can easily multiply the effect by 3 when you have the chance to train the woman in the neighborhood. So, as I have stated, this internet literacy was very important. But also there was one more thing, that it was the PC penetration. Because when people do not have the PCs or tablets, they cannot reach to internet. Just like in Brazil, installments are very important, because otherwise people cannot pay cash and buy the machines in just one time. So what we did was to finance 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months of installments, so that people could buy these PCs or tablets and start using internet. Of course, these required, capital investment, risk-taking. But STTNet, we are already in 10 million households. And we have billing capabilities, collection capabilities, marketing capabilities, where we can reach to many people all around the country, and also a financial background about collection. So we brought all these things together, and we believe did a good job. But after meeting DataWind and what they have done with the cheapest tablets in the world, maybe we can extend our partnership to do a better job in Turkey.
Fantastic.
So what we aimed was 1,400 people, 1,040K, initial target to reach, but we have reached 250K in Turkey. I just want to show you a video about the impact, just to make you feel about the impact of this initiative.
Büyüyünce çocuk doktoru olmayı düşünüyorum. Bilgisayar mühendisi. Hukuk okumak istiyorum. İcatlar yapacağım. Uçan araba. Doktor olmak istiyorum. Tıp, bilgisayarla uğraşmayı seviyorum.
Vitamine girince normal okulun verdiği kitaplardan daha iyi anlıyorum. Vitamindeki öğretmen daha da o konuyu örnekleştirerek daha somut ve daha kalıcı bir şekilde aklımızda kalmasını sağlıyor. Ders notlarında da büyük bir başarı sağlıyor.
Her zaman evde 7 tane 8 tane öğretmen var. Ve sürekli o öğretmenler ona eğitim veriyor. Öğretmenleri eve getirmişiz. Ama hepsi ücretsiz. Ben öyle görüyorum gerçekten.
Buranın tek çaresi okumak. Başka hiçbir çaresi yok. Eğitim, ancak eğitimle aşarız biz burayı. Çünkü iş ortamımız yok, fabrikamız yok. Ne bileyim, burada sosyal bir yer yok.
Hayalleri var. Aleyna doktor olmak istiyor.
Mesela ben ders anlatınca bazen anlamıyordum. Akşam eve gelince vitaminleri dinleyip daha iyi anlıyordum konuyu.
İşte baba beni bir dershaneye gönder. İşte bana faydası olur. Okuldaki eğitim yeterli olmuyor diye. Ben de istedim. Malumunuz ücretle çalışamaz. Ekonomik problem. Ama bu vitamin bir nevi bir eğitim kursuna göndermiş gibi oldu.
Derslerim iyi, hepsi 5, bazen de 4 olabiliyor. Babam takdir alırsam bana tablet söz verdi.
Doğu tarafında kız çocuğunun erkek çocuğu da daha çok okuması lazım. Erkek çocuğu bir şekilde ayakta durabiliyor. Ama kız çocuğu okumadığı zaman ayakta duramaz. Ben kendim okutacağım, okuyabildiği yere kadar okusun. Özellikle yani kız çocuğu olduğu için okusun diyorum. Kendi ayakları üzerinde dursun. ücretsiz olunca dershaneye göndermeden telafi etmek de bizim için daha büyük bir avantaj oldu.
Vitaminle tanıştıktan sonra ben kendim çocuğumu rahatlıkla çalıştırabildim. Mesela biz bazı konulara yabancıyız. Mesela ben bir matematiği anlatamam.
Fen ve teknoloji dersinde deneyler vardı, örnek deneyler vardı. Onları işleyerek ertesi günün konularına hazırlanarak sınıfta etkin başarı sağlayabiliyorum.
Thank you. I was always told by some people that vitamins aren't good for you, but now we know they really are good for you. That was really interesting, Basia. Thank you. A couple of questions for me is clearly a big educational component, as we've just seen from this. So are you also working with schools, perhaps, in terms of access to internet connections so that you could be seamless for the child? Is that part of the model?
Definitely. We also have B2B relationship with different schools as well as the Ministry of Education. We are working together to improve the internet access all around the schools in Turkey. And also we are working with many different partners, not only in the education sector, but in improving the digital life and internet access in Turkey. We strongly believe that the dynamism of internet and the digital world, the push of the digitization to the economy. So we are trying to make lots of different partnerships, like we are working with MasterCard, the worldwide known partners, or many local small entrepreneurs, just to let them use our opportunity. As I have stated, telcos are like marketing machines. They have business plans. We have built many business plans, many new products, and failed.
Okay.
So we've got lots of experience around there. So we want to just inject these experiences to many different businesses all around.
That's interesting. Perhaps it's the first time, and it's my fault. I should have pulled it out earlier. But the skills and capabilities that your business had, that it's able to make available to others. It's not necessarily a product as such, but it's just that knowledge. And is that also through employee volunteering and engagement?
Definitely. We have special programs, incubation centers,
okay.
Group-wise a program called Pilot, so to make the new businesses fly. So we have many different partnerships with small businesses as well. And also with this education initiative, we had many youngsters educating the elders.
Yeah.
This is always
so some of the peer education is good. But it sounds like we've only really scratched the surface of what the business is doing. I think, Eduardo, we're going to move to you now, please, for the last. But the biggest company in terms of multinational presence, I think, with us on the panel today.
Okay, thank you very much. We seem to have the tablets, we have the mobile payments, we have the internet connection, and I'm going to talk about social applications for mobiles. So I think we have our virtuous circle here.
All thanks to Sarah's panel development, I think.
Difficult to put them in. Well, thank you very much for inviting Telefonica to Business Call to Action. We're a telecom operator. We like to call ourselves a digital telco. We are in mainly 2 regions, in Europe and in Latin America. We have over 300 million clients. And we call ourselves a digital telco because besides connectivity, we do many other things in the digital world. I'm going to speak today of one of initiatives in which Telefonica has been one of the leaders. It's called M-Inclusion. Sorry. Well, M-Inclusion, it's an initiative supported by the European Union in the framework program number 7, which encourages affordable business solutions for social innovation. M-Inclusion has as an objective to reach four types of people at risk of social exclusion, that is, people with disabilities, people, chronic patients, people with low incomes, and people in remote areas. And what we want to do is to create an ecosystem between IT companies, governmental bodies, and end users that, that need this social innovation. The partners, this is, we created, we choose a number of partners that came from Latin America and from Europe because it wanted to be a framework to develop applications that some of them were in Europe, others in Latin America. So we have innovating engineering from Italy. We have the Universidad Politécnica of Valencia. We have Econet, which is a consulting firm from Spain. We have Futura Networks, which is the company that organizes the campus parties for young people that are keen to innovate. We have the Universidad Cayetano Herrera from Peru, and we have the Nokia Technological Institute from Brazil. All of these are the partners that created M-Inclusion to look for affordable applications. We saw two main problems. One was a technological problem, another one was a socioeconomic problem. Technological problems are mainly due to infrastructure, digital literacy, and the range of telecommunications in some of the countries. Socioeconomic problems were due to disabilities of people, due to chronic patients, due to low-income sectors, or due to people in isolated areas. What we wanted to do is to create these ecosystems between European Union and Latin America to try to introduce innovative applications and get people to know those innovative applications, try to foster research and development of new applications. And we created, first of all, the M-Inclusion roadmap. What's the roadmap? The roadmap had the objective of doing an analysis of what was needed to introduce new innovative applications in Latin America. Why this guide? Why we did this? Because in mobile penetration in Latin America, it's very, very high. It's 120%. So that gives us a big scope for applications. Also because a 10% increase in broadband penetration, it increases productivity by 26%. So we thought that introducing innovative applications could be a way to increase the economic growth of social excluded people. And also because studies showed us that the mobile ecosystem contributes to 3.7% of the gross domestic products. So the mobile ecosystem, the mobile penetration in Latin America, and the use of mobile applications could create a very, very useful way of increasing social inclusion in Latin America. The M-Inclusion roadmap was destined to end users, developers, public bodies, finance bodies, and industrial partners. What we did with each of these sectors was to see what were the trends at the time, what was the drivers if we wanted really for the applications to work, and what were the innovators. In most of these categories, we have innovators that exist and that in some cases, companies, in other cases, governments, in other cases, end users have to work together to break these inhibitors. Sometimes there are regulatory inhibitors, other are financial, other are digital literacy, other is coverage in remote areas. But we thought that getting to know these inhibitors would be the first thing in order to get these applications up and running. We created the M-Inclusion services, where we have three distinguished areas. One is a marketplace. We created this marketplace by looking at all the applications, mobile applications, doing a guide of these applications, inviting them to join this marketplace so as to put end users with mobile applications developers for social inclusion. We also have the open innovation services. Here, what we wanted to put into contact were innovators with people that had already innovated and had already startups that were running, and also with funding. One of the biggest problems for startups, especially in relation to social innovative service, is the funding. It's very difficult to find, but there are also public funding and funding from, for example, the European Union that people don't know that exists, and to put in contact developers with these funds, I think it's very useful and will help bring these products into the market that otherwise don't get to the market. And last but not least is the best practice section, where we tried to put in contact people that had already consolidated or created startups in innovative services, so that their experiences and also the knowledge of some parts of the process that some people don't know, because you might be a very, very good technical person, but you sometimes are not a very good person doing a business plan or knowing the legal, how to set up a company and what's the legal framework or the regulatory framework of the country you're setting up the company. So M-Inclusion, what it wants to do is to be an accelerator of mobile applications for social inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. And I do have a follow-up question, but just to audience, prepare yourselves. If you do have any questions you'd like to put, I'll be coming to you in a moment. But Eduardo, so it seems to me that actually what you're creating is a platform to help facilitate in many ways business-to-business conversations. It may be business to professionals who can help that business. Is that right? And if so, how are you incentivizing people to use the system during the startup phase? Because it's a very crowded marketplace, lots of information. How do you get people to be aware and to use?
Well, we've put in contact. We put in contact basically people that are developing mobile applications with people that want to invest in these mobile applications, or that want to join these people that are developing these mobile applications, but also with end users and NGOs. We have launched how do you say concurso? Well, a bet for 300,000 people and NGOs, people, funds, etc., so that they know that the marketplace exists and that these applications are there, and that they can talk to them and even, if they want, finance them or partner together to develop them or to introduce them in other countries.
Okay, so it's a mixture of, so it's the broker, it's the access to crowdsourcing and funding perhaps as later on, so I could see it going in many different directions. So really interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I have some other prompt questions lined up, and my colleagues might have too, but is anyone who'd like to either make a comment or share a thought on what they've heard today, or indeed give us another example of some business collaboration that they're involved in? Please.
I just wanted to try to link this panel to the previous panel that we had on the ecosystem. I think there's a lot of conversation going on, mostly, kind of creating trouble, especially the two issue colleagues.
Disruptors.
But I wonder, what is when you go back to this notion of an ecosystem, right? Like multi-stakeholder, everybody trying to come. I wonder if the existence of a space like that, where you could come in and discuss with government, civil society, the role of inclusive business, your particular business aspects, would that be valuable? And two, what ideally would be the role of governments in differentiating between inclusive business, part of the phrase looks like, inclusive business type of business from traditional business, to make it business in some sense.
Yeah. So I suppose that if I'm understanding your question, it's really, to what extent does this have to be so organic and accidental, or is there actually a way you can create that enabling environment for an ecosystem to come together? And what's your experiences? What do you think? Could it be engineered?
So, thank you for the question. So I think for, what the type of work that we do, where there are very strong components of inclusive business, and especially creating jobs within informal settlements and formalizing parts of the informal sector. Ministries of youth and ministries and parts of government that are keen to see job creation happen are highly supportive of what we're doing. But in the presentation that you saw, we cut across so many different ministries. And so when we work, we work with the Ministry of Health, we work with the Ministry of Agriculture, Energy, and Ministry of Water and Environment. And everybody wants that level of approval. They want to make sure that they gave their blessing to what you're doing. And so while I would love for that to be the way that things work, for us, it's had to be a pretty clunky journey, I would say, to make sure that we address all of those players. And I don't think, I think we wish that we had the capacity to bring them all in the room together, but ultimately I'm not sure that the individual social enterprise can actually be that one.
But I suppose the question is, are there others who could help represent like-minded organizations? And so you get on with running and building the business, they can get on with helping to join the dots between the different parts of government as we're focused. Sonny, what's your thoughts on sort of engineering ecosystem?
So we were lucky in the sense that when our project started, a very senior minister in the government decided to make his stake. He decided that this would be his legacy. And while we dealt with difficulties, many different tiers, part of what helped the whole process was that he really, he championed this throughout. He'd be doing a speech about anything else, anywhere else, and he'd find a way of mentioning this project. And we would just get a huge amount of
so that's fine whilst they're in power, right?
So this is part of the difficulty is that the opposition felt that there had to be a need to oppose because they were the opposition, and part of what we're trying to do now is with the new government is explain that the idea of computers.
So your point
and
about
access,
it's the same project with a different name, which has come to roost. Thank you for that. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or say? I've been doing a bit of a list of listening out to the business-to-business parts of the conversation, and it seems to me that we can begin to draw up a list of things that at least our colleagues up here have been looking for from other companies. So in other words, can we begin to build some sort of taxonomy of what other companies might bring to the table? So it seems to me that some of you have been looking for sort of technology and technological platforms. Some of you have been looking very much for resources, and that might be in the form of skills, capabilities, or in terms of capital. Some of you may be looking to actually share risk and cost in order to make your model more viable, perhaps, and go further. Some of you perhaps looking for insights and ideas and inspirations. And Eduardo, I think your platform is inviting, essentially, people to come with ideas. And presumably there may be some of those that your business can take advantage of in an open, transparent way, as much as impact society. So it's not a completely selfless, which I don't think we're looking for selflessness. I think we're looking for sustainable approaches, which that seems to me to be. Is there anything else? Have I missed things there, things that you think that alliances with other companies in one form or another could help bring to the table?
I think you have covered everything.
You were incredible.
I don't believe that for a minute. Let me ask you another question then. I think there's a bit of a statement. I think there's a missed opportunity out there at the moment, right? So if we look at some of the big multinational companies, and Telefonica, Eduardo, you can help me here. A lot of companies make, we had a Global Clinton Initiative here, right, this week. Very big, bold statements, sustainability commitments about aspects of their business. So Unilever wants to engage 500,000 smallholder farmers in their business in the next X years. Walmart wants to have 100,000 suppliers run by women or women operated. Coca-Cola wants to be water neutral, right? So there's a lot of promise being made. And then if one looks at how those companies are going about delivering against those very significant challenges, where there's both a business goal and a social imperative, I'm wondering whether this is changing the opportunity for smaller operators to work with them, because potentially the smaller friends in size here can provide them both with their business goal commitment and their social impact. Does that make sense? Does that resonate? And are any of you talking to any of the bigger companies about what that relationship could look like?
Sure. So, one thing that we've done at Sanergy is that we started to work with Dow Chemical, who we did not ever expect to be working with, but they've made a real commitment in East Africa to be able to get their products, mostly for agricultural industry, agricultural machines and inputs. And of course, we're now in the business of selling organic fertilizer. And we are a scrappy organization that has not sold fertilizer before, and with that comes significant challenges from what is your best market entry strategy? How do you what is
it's not very stable either, is it, fertilizer?
Well, I mean, it can. Well, yeah. How do you offset instability of fertilizer cycles? Branding strategies, and then of course they have lots of distribution partners. And so we've been able to work really closely with them, where they've actually sent from Michigan and from Germany engineers to come help us in some of our managers, I should say, on some of our supply chain issues. And it's been really valuable for us. And then of course they've gone on to make introductions to their distribution partners, which has been helpful too. But they, and in return, their favorability within Kenya is increasing, as well as it's been really rewarding experiences for their staff.
And I think it's going to be fascinating as we go forward, as social enterprises are beginning more traction and some sort of critical mass and size, where the pathways to scale lies actually with some of these almost joint ventures and collaborations, but in a way where the larger company doesn't come in and try and take it over, but actually sees it as a complementary business opportunity rather than something they want to swallow up.
Yeah, and we very consciously started small on both sides with a recognition that, actually, a lot of what builds business is trust, right? And so getting to know companies that, that we have not known in the past.
So Sunny, what about in the education sector? Most major global corporations in the world have educational programs, policies, commitments, either at home or abroad. Is that something that you're able to tap into?
Well, we're starting to, and in fact in India the government's regulated the CSR program. So corporations beyond a certain size need to spend 2% of their profits on corporate social responsibility. And a significant amount of that capital is pointed towards, not yet spent, but certainly pointed towards education. We are reaching out to these corporations and saying that if you help subsidize these products, then that's, you know, just expands their reach and the awareness. I mean, it's almost a marketing effort.
Right.
And I think that that will be a significant growth area for us. We've now got dedicated resources to figure out how to penetrate that segment of the market.
And then I suppose the workplace education comes into it next, especially if you're looking at employers with large numbers of relatively low paid wage staff. Then the opportunity to engage and help to raise their standards through your sort of product.
Sure.
So I think
skills training and things of that nature.
Be really interesting. I'm very conscious of time. We have the man with the mic.
Hi, my name is Aaron from Ireland, and I want to ask about you here because Telefonica, gentleman maybe doesn't know about it, but Telefonica Ireland has supported my initiative 2 years ago to start the Wellness Economic Initiative for clients. This was the corporate plus one. We have 33,000 children right now listed for being healthy. So 10 years from now, it's a sustainable program. So they will be healthy employees for your companies. And it's done by Telefonica as one of the 5 sponsors of the whole program. So thank you.
Well, that's very good. I think it's lovely to hear success from the floor. So congratulations, Telefonica, for that. Saba, you had a question?
I had a question. I had to step out and came back. Saba from BCtA for TTNet. I don't know if this was raised in the discussion, but when I first heard about TTNet, what really intrigued me is it's a huge conglomerate with multiple subsidiaries. So we're talking about B2B. Yeah. To do it across business units, I mean, actually, I wouldn't even call it business unit because they're different subsidiaries. And how that happened is, I don't know if it was addressed, is very fascinating. Yeah. Because Sebit, which is the subsidiary that owns Vitamin, is known in Turkey doing B2B, let's say, with training for central bank, school enrichment, you know, dealing with the government. But to actually build a cross-subsidiary business model can be as difficult as, let's say, outside. So I would like to hear more about that.
Maybe sometimes even more difficult.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
When you're talking about different companies coming together, it's sometimes easier than working with sister companies. But we had a very fruitful way of working, simply because we came together and understood the needs of the society and the targeted customers. It was so obvious. So obvious that Sebit has been the leader in the education market, and especially on the digital education, let's call it that way. And when it comes to the people all around Anatolia, people couldn't find reasons to use internet. So when bringing those two things together, it was a perfect fit. Of course, we had lots of discussions about the financials.
Right. That was
of course, you have watched people telling how this initiative changed their lives. It gave them a hope. But of course, there are lots of discussions behind B2B discussions. But after all, if there's a need in the society, and if you can find a way to make it still a profitable business, not maybe in 1 year, but maybe in the upcoming years, to build a good business case on it, then it works. Then people come together and see the need, try to bring the solution together, and it's working very well.
I think Matt, Saba picked up a really good point, because actually there's some mindset issues within companies, and I actually think, I'm very conscious of time because we're a little time. I'll given a reprise. There is a mindset issue, whereas although there are now skill sets and capabilities in companies to understand how to work with the not-for-profit sector and with governments, still in terms of when one starts talking about B2B, it's very much seen as a transactional relationship. Someone is going to buy something from someone somewhere along the line, as opposed to necessarily pool shared skills and resources or complementary expertise. And the legal structures, the comms teams, everyone, they're not, I mean, one very easy example helped come to life with you. I was working with a major bank and a major health healthcare company getting together, and they agreed to get together and work over 3 years on a multi-million-dollar program to increase access to health and access to finance, where you have complementary skills and expertise. The marketing department were involved when we were going to talk about how do we announce this partnership. And so the marketing department of Company A, well, this is our branding, this is how it has to look. Company B, this is our branding, this is how it has to look. Here's our PowerPoint, everything's PowerPoint, right? Here's our PowerPoint template. Right? And this company, it was the bank, their template either had their name at the top as the lead company, or their name at the bottom as the junior company. There was no template for an equal partnership. And it sent them into complete turmoil as to the fact that their marketing materials didn't allow, the mindset for joint and collaborative equal working was not there. And you then extrapolate that across the different functions. I think it just shows that we're really in the foothills still of this notion of business to business. Any closing comments, gentlemen, from you in terms of things that you'd like, if you were sitting here in a couple of years' time, what would you like to come back and tell our colleagues at BCtA about progress you've made? Sunny, 2 years' time.
I think this sort of 4.5 billion people that are not on the internet, I think will evaporate, if not in 2, maybe 3 years. I think it's that close. The number in the world without internet access will go away. And the
role of your organization and your institution or your influence or your peer example will have played what role in that?
We hope to continue to create not only significant price pressure on hardware, okay, but help sort of start new business models. One of the things I pitch Indian operators is that Google, for twice as many subscribers, makes about 30 times as much profit.
Okay.
So there are business models that are more effective than what are being deployed.
So it's fascinating for me that you chose sort of economic and business organizational triggers to make that happen, which of course is dear to the heart of BCtA. David?
Yeah, I think that we have a model that has a lot of potential to scale, but when you dissect it, and when you dissect it, though, there's lots of parts to it.
So 2 years' time?
And so in 2 years' time, I think that it would be great if we had 15 corporate partnerships with experts who know far more than we do about each of those little parts.
Yep. So it's building that ecosystem, essentially.
As a startup, we know that our business model, we are in the right way. We just got profitable, and our challenge is about sales and marketing. And I want to come back here and say that I got the right partner for distribution. Okay. That's my focus.
That's your goal. Very good. Matt?
I have 2 things in mind. The first thing, we have been working on the urban areas, even though they are less developed. I also would like this initiative to go to the rural areas more and come here and tell you about this story. And I would like these children who have reached to internet and education will come here together with me and present their business case and how they built their businesses, digital businesses, with the help of TTNet's incubation center and capabilities.
Excellent. We've got journalists in the room who've written that down, by the way, so we might be held to account on that. Eduardo, for you?
Well, the Health World Organization estimates that there are like 1 billion people with disabilities, and that market, another study estimated what was cost 8 billion. I hope entrepreneurs and people that are doing applications for innovative service and for inclusion can do these mobile applications to help these people have a more autonomous and inclusive life.
So I think when we started today, we were talking about quality and not quantity, but actually we're hearing about the goals, our ambition and scale and quantity, and that business to business, we believe, I think, there is some consensus at least up here, that that's got to be a critical way of helping to reach that scale. Saba, any last comments from you? I can see you.
I just wanted to say that we're very pleased to have had this panel. One of the ambitions we've had is to have the first B2B global sort of gathering. This is the first of its kind that I know in the inclusive business space. So I hope this is just the beginning of a series of activities around this. And our goals are very concrete to see how we can foster more business-to-business collaboration.
Of thinking. So, and in terms of early stages of thinking, I believe that the bar, or there may be drinks and receptions open too. And it was my colleague Sarah who actually said, actually, B2Me, doesn't that mean bottle to bottle rather than business to business? Beer to beer. So, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.